My mother always had this beautiful skin, and I always wanted her skin. And my father lived well into his 90s, and I wanted his longevity. And unfortunately, I inherited my mother's cancer gene, and the only thing my father gave me was his blonde hair. But that's that. Anyway, I know that this weekend is about hope, and that's what I hope to instill with you. And I know after we all receive this shock of ocular melanoma, hope is the next thing that, that hits us. My journey started back in 2008, shortly after I finished treatment for breast cancer. And I've heard that once you have one cancer, you're more susceptible to getting a second one. The breast cancer was just a bump in the road for me. It was a pretty easy thing. But the ocular melanoma was like a train wreck coming at me. So, I started my journey. I was advised by my ophthalmologist to have my eye taken out, which I did. And unfortunately, he knows the eye, but he did no follow-up scans. I had no idea that I could metastasize. In fact, he knew my oncologist for the breast cancer, and he said, "Oh, you can kill two birds with one stone." She knew nothing about ocular melanoma, but to her benefit, she did some research, but she too didn't know to scan. So for 3 years, I was, living a great life. 2011, I happened to have a CT scan for something else. And she looked at it and said, there's shadows here, and normally I would blow this off, but with your background, let's repeat this. And of course, the ocular melanoma, the Mets were found. Let's see, so this now led to, I've been dealing with this for 6 years, and this is where the hope comes in. I'm still here 6 years later, feeling great. I've had immunizations, Sursphere, CMET trials. You'll hear more about this later. A couple rounds of IPI, brain mets, and now I'm in Immunocore's IMC-GP 100 clinical trial. Okay. And as with most of you, when I was first diagnosed, I'd never heard of ocular melanoma. I mean, melanoma in your eye? How does that happen, and how do we get that? And what can be done for it? And I was led to believe that once my eye was enucleated, I was home free. I was never told that this metastasizes 50% of the time, nor was I told that I should get periodic scans. And I was just lucky to have that scan in 2011. And this led to my belief, you've got to be your own advocate, do your own research. Don't rely on this one doctor. So, you know your disease, and you must learn everything about it. My doctor's attitude to me was criminal. When I went back to him and I asked him, why don't you do scans? Well, I didn't understand it. And he said to me, I go to these conferences, and they told me, why bother? Why bother? He had me dead before I even started treatments. I don't see him anymore. There are many things that he has done over the past 6 years. And basically, I was telling somebody he's kicked me out of his office for my attitude. So, And also, he came highly recommended. I knew nothing about wheels at the time. I didn't know anything about the shields, and I thought I was in great hands. And as far as the eye went, I was. As far as anything else, I wasn't. But once those Mets came, that's when my education started. I got on the computer. Poor Renee, her name was all over the computer, and it led me to Jefferson and Dr. Sato. Once I hit Jefferson, it was like the knot in my stomach loosened, my anxiety loosened, and I know there was no cure, but there was a plan of action. And that just helped me so much. My motto and my mantra, every year he keeps me alive, something else is going to come down the pike and keep me going for longer. And of course, it did. So 6 years, I've had a year of immunoembolizations. I had 3 treatments of Surspheres. For those of you who have had it, you've had 2. I'm laying on the table, I hear Dr. Eshelman go, here's an artery that wasn't there 2 weeks ago. And this led once again, the rare bird, the 1 in a million. So this led to 3 Surspheres treatments. I got 9 months of no treatment after that, which was great. I was on 2 different CMET trials, 2 different rounds of IPI or Yervoy, whatever you want to call it. In July of 2015, I had brain mets. I had surgery to remove those. That was a little joke in the household. It was an overnight stay in the hospital. I couldn't believe it. 2 days later, I was up at my neighbor's for July 4th party. My husband says, "Oh yeah, by the way, she had brain surgery 3 days ago." You know, people are looking at me like I'm crazy. Went up to Maine, visit some friends who are saying, "Oh, what's new with you?" "Oh, I had brain surgery a couple weeks ago." So, you know, they're looking at me like I'm nuts. But, you know, I was there, and it was a great thing. During that time, I also was doing the second round of Yervoy, and that landed me in the hospital. I got ulcerative colitis from that. I went to the hospital twice. First time, oh, there's nothing we can do for it. Second time, I was in there for 18 days trying to have them do something other than what they normally do. The nurses at Jefferson told me on day one, get this thing called Remicade. They wouldn't give it to me. "Oh, you know, maybe it can cause cancer." Hello, you know. I could have been in and out of the hospital in 2 days instead of 18 days. Here again, you've got to be your advocate. After 2 weeks, my deal was, you've been doing the same thing for 2 weeks. Nothing's changed. I had patient advocates. I yelled at every doctor that walked in and every nurse that walked in. And I finally said to them, "I am not leaving this hospital until you give me this." One treatment of it, and I was home the next day. So, you know, had I known this, I would have yelled earlier on, but I also wasn't feeling well, so. Yeah, I've got to go back. Let's see. So I get to see. That's the whole thing about advocating again. You know yourself, you know how you feel, you know what you need. There are doctors out there who've never heard of ocular melanoma. I've had doctors that look at me, "What's ocular melanoma?" And the ones that know it don't know how to treat it. They don't know what to do. You've got to do your own research. You've got to ask those questions. So after all 6 years, 5 years ago, I got on this trial. I have been going up to Philadelphia every week. March 21st will be, I told the nurses up there, I'm bringing a cake. It's my anniversary. You know, it's a lot to do. Go up there Monday, I get blood work done, I get treated Tuesday, I come home. Wednesday's my down day. I feel yucky for about half a day. By Wednesday night, I'm back to myself. To me, it's been the miracle drug for me. Things have been stable. It's been wonderful. The rest of the week, Thursday through Sunday, I try to put OM on the back burner. I go to the gym. I go out with friends. I lead a normal life. It's always there, but at least I have 4 days I don't think about it. So I know the focus this week's on hope. I always say if you don't have hope, there's no reason to be here. I know the statistics of ocular melanoma. Unfortunately, I've seen too many good people die very young. This is one of the reasons I tell people I don't even get on the computer too much anymore. But I'm hopeful new treatments are coming down the pike constantly. You know, I'm often told, you know, you have such a great attitude, but what's your alternative? I can't sit home and put a pillow over my head. I sit home and feel sorry for myself. The ocular melanoma is still there. It's not going to change. So things aren't going to get better. So I try to focus on the positive. I try to focus on what's coming down the pike. I try to focus on treatments. You know, so I choose to live my life not with it, but in spite of it. And I choose to come to these meetings where I can learn as much as I can, meet new people, you know, and I choose to be part of these clinical trials. If they're not going to help me, which I hope they will, hopefully they'll help somebody else down the line. And that's, you know, and I choose to hope for this cure. That's all we can choose for. So this is it. I hope you enjoy the weekend, learn a lot, meet new friends, get some information. I was going to tell you to go out for a good walk. It was 75 degrees yesterday. But I have been told by somebody at my gym that the groundhog still wants to prove that he's right. So, and that's it. I hope you have a very good weekend, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you for sharing your story and being so open. And I think that's one of the really powerful parts of these weekends is just to be able to share and hear stories and share our own stories. And I think there's just a lot of power in that connection in a lot of different ways. So thank you, Sheila, for kicking us off with sharing your perspective and your experiences. Really, really appreciate it.